Today I'm chatting to Aisling Ennis, who is playing the harp with the RCO in Danse sacrée et profane by Debussy.
When I was 6, my mum found a harp somehow, somewhere. Can't say it was the most beautiful thing, but that got me going. And so one thing went from another. So my first teacher was Anya Nagul, and I was with her for many years until I went across the pond. So I sort of just fell in, really. And I think they thought, well, the harp is a nice, quiet instrument, and that'll keep Aisling busy. And since then, it's pretty much been the only time that I sort of shut up talking, and that's it.
And what was it that kept you going, that kept you actually doing it?
It's a funny one, actually, because I can't say that I always had a lovely relationship with practice, because practice can be hard. I think a really big moment for me was when I joined the National Youth Orchestra, and I really met and made some lifelong friends, and just being a part of this incredible, massive sound, and being a part of this musical machine had a huge impact on me at the time. And at that point, I was hooked before, but that just brought a whole new dimension to it.
And of course, you're a fantastic performer. We've worked together quite recently doing Jonathan Dove's opera Flight, but I know you're really passionate about music education and that you've worked with some children who need some extra help. I wonder, could you tell me a little bit about this and what this kind of work means to you?
Well, I suppose ultimately for me, music is a means of expressing and connecting with other humans. And I've had some of my most profound moments as a musician, bar none, in settings with people who have very complex needs and struggle maybe to connect and to communicate with the world around them. A highlight, I think, for me was I was very lucky a number of years ago to spend a sort of an extended period of time working with people in the Seashell Trust, which is in the northwest of the UK. So that was a setting where it was predominantly non-verbal individuals, and to see that music as a language can just open up a whole world of connection. And I love to remind myself of that, because we take what we do very seriously, and we work very hard, and we want to be very true to the music. But sometimes I know for myself, I can get caught up in that seriousness and forget that actually we're all just looking for an opportunity to maybe escape whatever stuff is going on, in our lives, and that music is a lovely way of I don't know, having a bit of an escape, maybe.
That's such a lovely thing to hear, the sense that music is an escapism. And of course, you've performed with the RCO on a number of occasions before, but I think this concert will be the first time that you've played a kind of concerto, a sort of solo piece sitting in front of the orchestra. So that's far from escaping. That's like you're right under the spotlight there. But I'm wondering a little bit about how you might have to play the harp differently, how you make the sound differently when you're sitting in the orchestra as opposed to when you're sitting in the front of the orchestra.
Yeah, I suppose the lovely thing about the Debussy, the Danse sacrée and profane, is that it's very much a chamber concerto. So he understood, I suppose, very well the instrument that he was dealing with. And so I'm not having to project my sound over a huge symphony orchestra. It's very contained and considered writing. So in that sense, it's a very kind experience, and it feels for me much more like chamber music, where the harp gets to really kind of sparkle and play.
I'm always interested to know what music means to different performers. So just before we finish, can you tell me something about what this piece means, but also why is it really special to you?
I think it's an incredible piece of music in itself. What I love about it is that it's danse sacrée and profane, and so that's the sacred and maybe the the earthly. I don't think it really means profane in the way that we would interpret it here. But for me, I'm a mum of three smallies, and there is a kind of a mischief and an exuberance in the second movement that reminds me very much of my crazy little toddler. And in the danse sacré, there's something incredibly solemn and wise and almost otherworldly and prayer-like to it. And so it really is that sublime and ridiculous, that the shifts in mood and colour go between these two. And I think for me, that's just a beautiful concept to kind of reflect on in music. So I adore that very much about this piece. And I suppose, you were asking about how it feels to be in front of the orchestra as opposed to behind the orchestra in a nice, safe space. I think for me, that creates a lovely kind of vulnerable and honest in to the piece. And sometimes it just takes that initial plunge to kind of feel that the music sweeps you away. And it doesn't really become about being in front of the orchestra or being the soloist. It's about, I suppose, just wanting to share in this incredibly joyous and beautiful little snippet of time. It's a short piece. It's around 10 minutes in total. So
Aisling, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I really appreciate it. In the meantime, take care, and I will see you next week.